peeps, welcome back to Project Anonymous, and in today's video,
we're going to make a new patch.
So let's get to it. So about a year ago, we made this patch right here. So today we're going to utilize a few things that we've learned in the past year to make a new one.
Yeah, some lessons learned that we got from Trace Bitmap, from param settings, and some commands.
So should we get to it?
Let's go. Using our 4x4 hoop template, we're going to go ahead and import a design that Megan drew up. Really nice. Good job, Megan.
Thanks.
Okay, and we're just going to use that there. But before we start doing any work on this, so thinking about the design, we wanted to have kind of an irregular shape. We didn't want it to be like a perfect circle where you have a nice circle satin stitch around. We wanted it to be kind of irregular, but a sewing machine by itself was a little too irregular.
Yeah, it has a big hole.
Yeah, so we need to add something behind it that kind of gives it, I guess, a little bit more patchiness design. So we came up with the idea of kind of putting a thread behind it. So we're going to go ahead and draw that up real quick before we get into Trace Bitmap. What do you think about that?
That looks nice.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here is we're going to make sure we convert all of these to paths. And then we're going to copy it, paste it down here, just for safekeeping. Okay, so next up we'll Trace Bitmap this guy here. We're going to do this in several stages because there's a lot of details on this sewing machine that I think are going to get lost in translation when it comes to using Trace Bitmap. And it's usually the case with Trace Bitmap, there's too much detail. So we kind of have to simplify it. So without losing too much detail, we also want to make sure we get a good, balance there with what we're going to get. So let's see what we can do. Have Trace Bitmap. I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do brightness cutoff, and I'm going to just try to get just a silhouette of the whole sewing machine. So I'm going to keep darkening these up and checking until it's all black. All right, so now we have a nice simple design, right? And then I can change the color back to somewhat that, but it kind of doesn't matter because it's our thread that's going to matter, right? So I'll just change it to this light blue. And again, really the reason we wanted to use Trace Bitmap is to kind of show some of the different things that you can do. So this is one way to approach it, and I think this is what we'll end up using to get the like the shape that we need to bring in here. And we got to put this on a different layer so it's in front, but this is kind of what we wanted to stick in the front. And then we wanted to use a bean stitch in our params to kind of lay out the detail on top of this. So, but let's see how this would look if we were to bring it in by color. So we'll go ahead and Trace Bitmap, and we'll do a multi-scan colors. And this is a nice way of just seeing what we can come up with a color tracing. And again, this may be the preference you use instead of what we used for the single color. So when I click on this, you can see we also have a sewing machine. Now, depending on your project, this may give you the final result that you're looking for. And as long as you can simplify it or get it to stitch out, that may be it for you. But there's a lot of detail in this for how small we're making this patch. So we're not going to use this option because there'd be a lot of adjustments that we would have to do in order to get this to look the way we want it to look like. So instead, we're going to kind of use it as a guide for how we're going to get this silhouette version of the sewing machine to look like. So the next thing we're going to do is let's start doing our layers and making them look right. So layer one we're going to call the bobbin. And then we're going to just add this silhouette to that layer. And real quick, I'm going to turn the snapping tool off so I can get this right where I want it. So let's see, how are we going to add some detail? We're going to use the Bezier tool, and we're just going to make some lines that we're going to turn into bean stitches. Put one here. Okay. Next, we're just going to do a simple rectangle here to cover where. And then we got some circles for our dials. I'm going to hit Control to keep it a perfect circle. And then this one, I just want the outline, so I'm going to hit Shift, White, and then X to get rid of the fill color.
I think it's just a huge stroke.
Yeah, I think you're right. And then I'm going to convert this to a path. And see, Command V. Use my selector tool. Now, this is going to be, all of these lines are going to be in dashes because it's going to be a bean stitch. So we're going to go ahead and select everything that we just made that is going to be a bean stitch. And then we're going to turn those into a dashed line. And now we're going to use the Bezier tool and put some dials on this guy. And this one is going to be a solid line. Turn that white. And we're going to C, Command V. We're going to twist this one, right? Like it's a different setting.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to adjust this because we want this to be a different color for our needle, right? Okay, any more details on the sewing machine you want?
I think that's it.
I think that's it too.
So what's next?
So now we're going to put some text on here. Cool little slogan you came up with.
Sew crafty, because we say sew a bunch, but then we're going to make it S-E-W.
Yeah.
So.
Round this a little bit. How's that?
I think that's good.
Okay. And this is going to be white.
Mm-hmm.
And we better, before we forget, layer management. Here. But what I want. Okay. This is going to be our text. Finally, our lettering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we'll do some ink stitch lettering. Just something, a small font. So we'll use the ink stitch small font. So crafty. Apply and quit. So that's going to be the basic design of our patch. So we have, it's kind of a sort of a shape that we can cut out in a patch, but we're going to need a satin stitch all along the edge. We know that. All right, so what I'm going to do is just how I have the bobbin separate, I'm going to go ahead and grab everything from the sewing machine. I need to move this to the right layer. Okay, so right now we can decide how we want to go about doing stuff. I think it would be beneficial if we set up our params for the different stuff now before we get in. Well, I don't know.
Maybe exclude everything.
Yeah, maybe we do the exclusion stuff because we don't want it to embroider out in all of those layers. So we don't want you know, for instance, the text would be on the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4th layer. That's too much for our machine. So we kind of need to eliminate layers underneath the design. So what we'll do is we'll start with the sewing machine and the bobbin, and we'll do a exclusion with the two. But before we do that, before we do anything, we're going to copy this whole design. That way we'll have it in case something goes wrong. And now I'm going to go ahead and do that exclusion. I think I want to do this one first. Against the sewing machine, so we cut out the background of the sewing machine. So I'm going to do that. Exclusion. Okay, now you can see I got rid of that shape. So now we need to apart this shape so we can delete these two little things. So that's gone. But again, we still have that shape up here that we can drag it back, and with the snapping tool on, it will snap back in place. But while we're here, so I'm going to take this, that, exclude it, great. Shift Command K, break apart. Now I can select the things that don't need to be there. You can see I'm copying after every exclude because I want to be able to bring shapes that are deleted back. Now I can drag this back. And now I can drag our sewing machine back. I don't need this anymore. We do need to get rid of that black hole though, don't we? Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of work in extruding, copying, pasting, and then snapping back stuff, but in the end, I think we'll get better results by it all being on a single layer. So we got rid of that black there. Now we can just copy this guy. All right, that all looks good. All right, let's see what this, or if this sews out. See that? Why is it doing that?
I don't know. Let's see.
It must be
a hidden little thing.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yep, I see it. That's weird. Little remnant.
Probably from the Trace Bitmap.
Yep. Well, glad we did that. Okay. So other things that we notice is we didn't set up params on anything yet. So these aren't bean stitches yet. So we're going to have to adjust this. So we're going to select everything that's going to be a bean stitch. Okay, nice. So these are going to sew out like bean stitches. We got it repeating twice, so we get a nice, defined line. But there's a lot of jump stitches here. We need to add a satin stitch around this thing. So we need to combine all of these. Let's go ahead and copy this. You can see we have numerous copies at this point, but that's okay. It's free space, right? And we're going to do this until this is just one big block. Because this is the shape of my patch, right? And when we go into the nodes tool, see we have some issues here, but that's okay. Take care of that.
Just delete the nodes.
Yep. Just gonna circle and delete the nodes. And that's just because I didn't line up everything perfect. So the reason I did this is because we want just the outline, right? So that we can do a satin edge border along the edge. I'm going to give it a stroke. Reduce that by quite a bit. And I'm going to simplify this. Okay. So now,
Another copying and pasting.
yep, always more copying and pasting. It's actually not too bad.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That's pretty nice.
Because another part about this is making it so that we don't have to do as many color changes, and there's a lot of color changes here. Like, what is that?
It's a little dot behind the design.
Yeah, so we gotta clean this up a bit. That's okay, that's why we use this. What else? We wanted the red to be kind of sewn at a 45-degree angle for a fill stitch.
So it looks kind of like thread.
Yeah, so we're going to select all those. Cool. Plain quit. And what else? We just need to sort the order, right? Now it should be sorted by color. We just selected the order that is most, I guess, convenient because we're not going to have to change as many colors. So now let's go ahead and select everything and see what this looks like.
All that's left to do is add the commands, right?
Yep.
No.
And we're just going to add commands to each one. So we're just going to highlight everything, but real quick. It's a lot of commands.
Yeah. We'll see how this works. How many times we have to press that button.
Yep. Pretty neat.
Can we finally start stitching it out?
I think we can.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.
Not really sure what this is about. It's turned the entire design into a blob of red, and there's like 20 different colors here, which doesn't make any sense. So I think our commands have actually corrupted our file here. And what's weird is this has worked in the past with like 1 or 2 commands, and maybe there's a maximum amount of commands that you can actually load in a project for this machine to work. But this is not going to work as is. You see every color is red. So we're going to have to scrap this file and try it without commands. It's unfortunate the commands didn't work. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to tape on some velcro in the back and let the satin stitch cover that, and then we'll applique that out. What we should have done is use the same line we did the satin stitch, but create a just dotted line so that we could do a step in between. So locking down the velcro, and then we can cut out the velcro and then do the final satin stitch around.
I think it would leave a little bit more of a clean result.
However, when we cut this out, I don't think you'll be able to see it because it's black.
Turned out really nice.
Nice velcro back.
So I really think it turned out very nice, and I really like it. It looks very professional and good quality.
Yes. We came across a few issues. Obviously, the commands completely didn't work for us at all this time. Now, we've tested commands in the past, especially the stop command, and it worked with a few. But this one obviously had a lot of different objects that we added a bunch of different commands to. And it just ended up making it so it wasn't going to work. So we ended up having to take all the commands out. And we ended up getting okay results, but as a result, we had a few things out of order, so we had to kind of jump around in the process, but nothing that was going to stop us. So we got it through. Another patch done.
Another thing is that I think the bean stitch turned out really nice. I think we wouldn't get as clean of these results if we just use like a plain line from the Bezier tool, but these little bean stitches came out really nice.
Yeah, adds lots of detail.
Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like if you liked it.
Like it.
Subscribe if you enjoy our content.
Subscribe.
And turn on those notifications so you get my every single time we post a video. Stay crafty.
Be happy.
Bye!